Driving to save the world from the evil Decepticons, the heroic Autobots are led by Optimus Prime. He's more than meets the eye. He's a Rohan in disguise.
Rohan? Who is this guy? Rohan? The one and only Rohan!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Rohan's Corner. Thank you guys for the wonderful introduction as always. And this week on my corner I've decided to do a discussion about something not strictly Transformers related, but something that I talked about back in December of last year when I went through my top Transformers alternative robot film and movie series. Went through all the series that have come out in the past that I really enjoyed, which include robots, and one of the prominent ones which I talked about and you may remember is Battletech. Some of you may remember how I talked about how large the universe is for Battletech. It is absolutely massive. There are hundreds of novels, there are PC games, there are video console games, there are collectible and paintable figurines like in Warhammer. There is a whole load of things to collect in terms of the Battletech universe. And in terms of the lore, it is very, very deep. A brief snapshot overview of the lore would be that in the distant future, late 2000s, early 3000s, the human race has expanded massively. It's taken out into space, into the solar system, and inhabited local planets, hundreds of them, thousands of them, developing into something called the inner sphere of planets. These planets divided into separate factions, lived in harmony for many thousands of years. However, in the late 28th century, we had a huge uproar of wars, and as a result of that, the Star League, which governed the entire inner sphere, broke apart, and the leader, General Kerensky, left the inner sphere to live out in the periphery with his best warriors. And this actually led to even more fighting, 300 years of infighting between the various different factions, culminating in the return of Kerensky's descendants in a new form of human being, enhanced beings with cybernetics and enhanced technology, who came with a new way of life to wipe out the inner sphere and take it over for themselves. Now, the big crux of the matter is, why am I interested in this? Well, it's all about battle mechs. These large robots piloted by human beings which go to war with amazing abilities and ridiculous firepower. And it got me thinking. In the Transformers universe, obviously we have Cybertron being apart from the Earth, we have the Earth as part of the lore, we have other planetoids and other civilizations, other inhabitants, aliens, places like Velocitron, places like Chaos, so on and so forth. But ultimately, we never had the human beings or human race or any other kind of being getting equipped with some form of mechanical or robotic form to be able to fight back against the Transformers. And this got me thinking, how would that work if we were to have an additional faction, or if we were to have an additional case where people, human beings, were able to take up the reins of a robotic form or a transformer based mechanoid to fight back, kind of like Silas did in Transformers Prime, which was pretty cool when Breakdown's body was destroyed and he took over.
Key difference between you and me? My body can't feel pain. This is just the beginning. Imagine an army of transforming robots. No one will stand against the newly rebooted Mech.
And run his own way. And this leads me to a nuance of stories that could be created within fighting within the human race, the Autobots, the Decepticons, the Quintessons, other races out there, to provide a new story arc. Especially with the Legacy line at the moment, where we're incorporating lots of different lines, lots of different races, lots of different inclusions of people, that this could actually take it in a new manner. And this is something that I've been thinking about for a while. Obviously the humans in Transformers can be very boring, very blasé, useless characters that are just there getting in the way, so why not entice them into the story arc in a positive and a negative sense? have some evil humans like Silas fighting up against the Decepticons and Autobots, have some humans like Spike or such like, who could actually take up arms and fight, instead of in the way in which they depicted him in Generation 1, picking up, Prowl's blaster and shooting with it, which is a bit silly. Anywho, I really dig the lore and the storyline from Battletech. I think it's got a lot of depth. I think ultimately they could make a great movie series out of this eventually when they get around to it. And they actually had a toy line back in the day. FASA and Tyco came together for the toys in the late 90s when the cartoon was out, which I talked about previously. Do it again. Incorporate it into the Transformers universe. Let's have a crossover. What do you think? And very quickly, mainly because she's only just arrived this very minute, I've got Mech Studio 30 Amie, otherwise known as Mech Fans Toys Legend Scale RC. And here she is in her alt mode gloriousness. Very tiny little car mode there. And if we put it up against Magic Squares, not too shabby. Little bit short, good width on there. Comes with 3 accessories: alternative face with lipstick, large rifle gun, small gun, and this very strange matte card, which is almost made of a thick polystyrene type plastic. Amie is a female robot soldier. She is alert and intimidating in battle, warm to her friends and cold to her enemies. Her superb skills and ruthlessness in the battle really shocked people. Her relationship with several popular male protagonists was very subtle, but what impressed people the most was her motherhood and kindness. Yeah, right. Instructions are massive, printed in colour, and depict you going from robot mode to alt mode. Great, so we'll have to figure out how to get to the robot mode from alt mode then. Right, and there we have it, folks. She is, of course, ridiculously top heavy. I was able to hard panther her because ultimately she is a big shell former, as you can imagine, but it is ridiculously hard to get her to stand up, and I will try the alternative head. So I unscrewed her head and then realised that the faceplate, which looked big to me in the first place, is actually not for this figure at all. It's for the Masterpiece figure. So I've got no use for that. That'll be going to Alexis. Posability is pretty amazing, but then you've got these spindly arms and legs, and so it does make the design difficult to keep upright. And let's be honest, it is a little bit on the small side for me compared to the Mech Fans toys and Magic Square kind of figures that we're used to. Anywho, for another week, I've been Rohan on Rohan's Corner. Catch you again next week. Back to the studio.